as a bit of background, I only started my crypto journey 6 or 7 months ago. Before that, I worked in a completely different industry. So that's what I'm going to speak to you about today. First of all, I want to tell you that Web3, and I'll explain what Web3 is. It's very cool and exciting. And I want you all to leave this session knowing how to get started in it. I'll tell you quickly about myself. My name's Brianna Sims. I work at Wealthsimple. I've illustrated some of my past careers using Julia Roberts. I was a lawyer. I've been a teacher. That's the Mona Lisa Smile one. I've worked in restaurants and bakeries, and I've been a librarian. And none of this really matters because it doesn't prevent you from joining Web3. Web3 is for everyone, and any skills that you bring to Web3 are going to be useful because it's really creating a whole ecosystem. I started in Web3 by getting a job in crypto operations last December. And since then, I've just been going very far down the rabbit hole. So if I seem at all knowledgeable, and the tech difficulties to start us off might count against that. If I seem at all knowledgeable by the end of this, it's because I spent 6 months just using the internet to research. So you can absolutely do the same. So just a quick 5-minute overview of what Web3 in crypto is. Web 1 was back in the GeoCities era, where you could basically go to someone's page and read a blog. That was Yahoo and all of those. Web 2 was when platforms came in and allowed you to create content via Facebook or YouTube or even Wikipedia. So you could both read others' content and write your own. Web 3 is about owning the content that you create and participating in the ecosystem. So rather than Facebook, Google owning all the data, profiting off of all of your search history and really owning that, instead, all of the things that are being created, you can not just read and write others, but you can take it with you and move it around and really participate and profit off of the ecosystem that you're building. So that's Web3. It's very cool. A quick primer on some basic concepts, and I'll hopefully save some time for questions at the end. Blockchain is like a big database. Every entry or block is just a line with data that records the data, and anyone can see that big ledger. So every time you do a transaction, it puts another line in this big ledger. That's what the blockchain is at a very simple level. Cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Bitcoin, those are the two big ones you might have heard of already, are ways of storing value in a ledger. So it basically assigns a certain amount of ETH or BTC, which are the token cryptocurrencies. It basically assigns a value to an address, and that's your address, that's your wallet. So that's how cryptocurrencies work. The value is just like any currency based on the value people believe in it, but the innovation is that it's all transparent and you can see all the money movements. So you can really prevent, untrusted transactions. As I said, transactions are just any information that's recorded. Sometimes it's recording the amount of a token that's being sent, and tokens can be programmed to be anything. I'll talk a little bit later about non-fungible tokens versus fungible tokens. Smart contracts are ways of executing things on the blockchain instead of a contract that you write out and say things like, I promise to give you X once you do Y. You type it into code, and then once Y is deemed done under the program, X will automatically send. So it's just automating contracts. And wallets are how you store value. So wallets, an alphanumeric string, that's basically your address. That's where all your assets are. And in order to send back and forth, you'll see on the big blockchain ledger, your wallet, your public wallet address transacted to this other wallet address. And now it's in that other wallet, or vice versa. And cold wallets are kind of disconnected from the internet, so they're less hackable. Hot wallets are more connected and interfaced, and therefore less secure. Some basic lingo. NFTs are non-fungible tokens. So NFTs are those pictures of apes that you've seen around and know, like, why are people spending $300,000 on this? Non-fungible just basically means not substitutable. So fungible tokens, if you can think of a loonie, I'm from Canada, so loonie. A loonie is fungible. I could exchange one loonie for your other loonie, and those would both be worth $1 Canadian. If someone had handmade a loonie and it was therefore worth $10 because it was a piece of art, that's not fungible. There's only one like it. It's not exchangeable. That's what that means. So when you look at these NFTs, the value that people put in them is that they're unique. And because the blockchain can record ownership of a certain piece of information, if the NFT is put on the blockchain, you can tell who owns it. And that makes it's like saying, the Mona Lisa, now you can definitely identify who owns the real one instead of the copies. A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. This is a new way of governing. So I mentioned in Web3 that one of the benefits is that you can participate in ownership of the platforms that you use and the systems that you're using. And a DAO is a way of contributing to that. I won't go too far into it, but they're very interesting. GM, this just means good morning. You'll see it all over Twitter if you join Twitter, and it's a little bit overwhelming, the crypto Twitter, but you'll see that everywhere. WAGMI and HODL are other acronyms. WAGMI means we are going to make it. It's kind of a hopeful, it's similar to good morning. It's just a nice thing to say. HODL means hold on for dear life. This refers to the practice of buying a cryptocurrency, watching it go very down because the market's all over the place, and still holding on for dear life and hoping it goes back up and hoping it goes to the moon, which means it goes really high in value and suddenly you're rich. Alpha is kind of insider secrets. So if you're part of an exclusive group like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, those are the monkey NFT pictures that you might have seen. Part of the reason that those are so valuable is because that community is a lot of crypto insiders. So you get a lot of alpha or insider info from being part of that community. So another thing is decentralization and decentralized finance, or DeFi. This is the idea that we don't have to rely on centralized banks or governments to control things like currency and identity. We can rely on these trustless apps or platforms that are decentralized, but because everyone can see the code and it's all verified on blockchain, we don't need the trust that we give to the governments and banks. We can put it in this so you don't need to trust it because it's all transparent. I just want to give you some more cool things to get excited about in Web3. So one is that creators can profit off their content. There's a very interesting report that I'll add to these slides and share them around afterwards if anyone's interested. But it shows that, for example, if you're a musician on Spotify, you earn maybe 10 cents a year, whereas musicians in Web3 have made something to the order of 100,000% more profit from their work because they can absolutely control who pays for it, who gets it, who is allowed to see it, and how much they charge. So this is a really big space to watch for creators. Another thing is your own identity and social network. So you can actually, rather than having, your Twitter followers and now you're stuck on Twitter, or your Instagram followers and you're stuck on Instagram, in Web3, you could own your followers, own your content. And if you don't like Instagram, you can pick up all of that stuff that you've created and move it to a different social network. This is the third one that I put here is, again, the decentralized autonomous organization. These are groups of people building stuff they believe in and getting rewarded for the stuff they're building by getting a cut of the profits and getting to make decisions. The final thing is it's still early. especially for women. This is very much still unknown and a very new area. So don't worry that you've missed all the fun stuff. I want to quickly make a case for, I've doubled this up, so sorry about the slides. For women in Web3, we know that only 9% of people investing in crypto assets are women. That's a bigger disparity than any other asset class. And I think it's because crypto seems overwhelming, untrustworthy, and just confusing, which is fair. Part of why I'm doing this. And I'm happy to stay a resource afterwards if anyone wants to get in touch. The key thing, I think, for onboarding women instead of men into the space, my opinion is that men join things often for competition or to really hone a special interest, whereas women are often more confident when it comes from a place of belonging. So rather than just throwing a bunch of information at you, I think it's really important to create a space to explore and where you feel like you belong. And so I hope that by giving you a little information and by making myself a resource, you too can see the space as somewhere welcoming and exciting to explore. All of this, where to start? My slide got deleted. Where to start, I think you have to find yourself a community. I will add some links of some very useful places to start. The three sort of social media things I think you should get is Discord, Twitter, and Telegram. Discord is for communities. Twitter is for visibility and building your brand. And Telegram is for actually making those connections and meeting up kind of in real life. I personally joined something called Boys Club VIP, which is focused on onboarding women into Web3, but there's a lot of NFT communities out there as well. And even just buying an NFT gets you access to a Discord full of people willing to help you. There's scholarships to attend conferences. There's, there's all these seminars and probably meetups locally where you are. So I went a bit longer than I wanted, but I hope you feel a little inspired to join the Web3. There's no place too small to start. And I really recommend following an interest and then typing into Google this interest plus crypto or this interest plus Web3 and just going from there. There's really no end to the imagination that you can have in this space. I'll quickly look at the Q&A, or I'll quickly go through the chat. I see Marie said, I know as a person, I'm involved in tech, but I don't know how to get into it. There's no right way. Join a community and admit that you don't know anything. I'll put the one that I started with that I really like. It's Boys Club VIP. It's an application process, but there's plenty more. If you want to look at various projects to get into, you can look through NFTs actually. One of my favorite ones is Crypto Coven. This is getting personal, but Crypto Coven is absolutely, I love the art. And that one, you buy the NFT or you don't, but you can still be part of the community. Some other ones focused on women are my BFF, SheFi. All of these are really supportive. There's Blue 3 DAO, which is focused on that. Oh, Surge Passports, Crypto Chicks. I could just name so many. So take a look at some of those if you're interested. FemPeak is a platform to elevate and empower women in various ways, including investing, entrepreneurship, health, and well-being. Yeah, there's a whole list. I could keep going. And I see we have a fellow Will Simpler. So amazing, Shanisha. Thank you for dropping that. Yeah, first start by downloading Discord, then get in touch with me. I'll give you some invites. A lot of the places that I just mentioned, you can follow their Twitter to get their actual link. I will say be cautious of clicking on unverified links. So always try to go to their Twitter first, and make sure you're actually applying to the right Discord so that you don't get down into some strange ones. Is there other questions? I'm just scrolling back. Most of the chat was about trying to figure out my difficulties. So thank you all. If you want to get in touch, I'm 2Breeze on Twitter. I'm also on LinkedIn, Brianna Sims, linkedin.com/Brianna Sims. Feel free to leave me a message with any follow-up questions. I know we're right at time and you probably have a lot that you want to do. I'll stick around for any questions, but thank you all for coming and participating. It was very lovely to meet you all. I see, Jess, you have a question. Do you recommend starting a project from scratch or forking an existing product or project? So this is a fun, I can tell Jess knows a little bit about crypto because forking is, if you imagine a giant ledger, if something goes wrong, you can kind of go back and cut off the fraudulent part of the ledger and start a new, and like kind of delete these entries and start over. And that's what forking is. So if you're wondering, should you build your own blockchain or build on top of another blockchain? I think probably start on a more, you could either build your own blockchain that's called layer 1, or you could build on top of a blockchain that already exists like Ethereum, and build an app on top of it. And I think the latter is the way to go. I mean, there's personal preferences, but it's likely that, in the future, is it going to be a bunch of different blockchains, or is it going to be one trusted layer that we build on top of? I'm leaning towards the latter, in my opinion. So I don't know if you want to necessarily fork, but certainly building layer 2 dApps or decentralized apps is very popular, especially on Ethereum. Dory asks, super beginner here, I'm wondering if there are blockchain projects towards sustainability, not just sustainable, but focused on climate change and making a difference there. Absolutely. I don't want to recommend any that I personally haven't vetted. And another acronym is DYOR, do your own research. So please take everything I'm sharing as a basic suggestion, and then you have to really figure out if it's right for you. But there are certainly many projects focused on sustainability. I think Klima DAO, KLIMA DAO, is one. I think I've heard some like scuttlebutt that it's maybe not fully, like it might be like seen as a bit of a Ponzi scheme or something. But there's lots of DAOs and other blockchain projects focused on carbon capture and funding innovation and energizing communities. So absolutely, they exist. It's not what I've been following, so I can't share too much more than that. But I think if you Google sustainability, like crypto project, there'll probably even be some summary articles for you to get started that someone's put together. And I'd love to hear more. Get in touch and see if you find any so that I can share it future times I chat. Carrie works in data at wealth investment firm. Yeah, good job, Dory. Do your own research. And Carrie, don't panic. I've been in it for 7 months. I feel like I know a lot, and I still don't know even the tip of the iceberg. The space moves fast. You should get used to feeling like you don't know what's going on, but that's part of the enjoyment, is that it's always going to be new and exciting. There's always going to be new things to learn and new ways to contribute as well. So there's a great need for data knowledge, data management, especially around wealth. And so if you're wondering if your skills would be useful in Web3, I can say certainly they would be. I know that's not what you asked, but don't feel panic. I'd say pick a topic, whatever you're interested in. Metaverse, which is like electronic land that you build on, NFTs, like the picture projects, or making a token out of music, or owning your identity, like a decentralized identity. There's so much. I could talk about it for quite a while, and I just went to a week-long conference about it. So yes, if there's no other questions, I will wrap it up and say thank you so much for listening to me ramble excitedly about Web3. I hope you get in touch or find your way. I'm sending all of you good vibes towards getting into it, and wishing you luck.